Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Factory podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Factory podcast. I'm your host, Priest, joined by my co-host, my brother, the one and only Phoenix. Say what's up to the camera.
What's up, y'all?
This is called the Burn Factory for a reason. I was literally caught on fire. 50% chance to survive, but through that started this podcast because I believe every single person out there on this planet goes through a burn moment somewhere in their life.
You heard Priest say a burn moment. So a burn moment is a super hard time in your life that you just have to fight and overcome. And me and Priest believe that every single person on this earth go through little burn moments that truly build them to who they are today. But Priest, I've just got to say, I love history. And the UFC has been around for 30 years now. But I truly believe that these pioneers do not get the credit they deserve. Our guest today was a pioneer of mixed martial arts. He started training MMA at 16 years old. He was the UGC and the MCC lightweight champion, and he's had over 24 UFC fights.
So please give a welcome to Jeremy Stevens.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to the Burn Factory.
Yes.
I see you wearing a Chiefs hoodie right there. How did you become a Chiefs fan growing up in Iowa?
Yeah, growing up in Des Moines, Iowa, we don't have a football team, so the next best thing is to search outward, and Kansas City was my team. You know, my dad, he liked Green Bay. I really liked Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. Brett Favre was really what got my attention. That guy threw bullets. You know, he had a good right hand, so I always took pride in that. But Chiefs, like you said, went down and watched Priest Holmes, Dante Holmes, running back in the day, and going down there, you know, 30 below, cold, having fun.
See, that's what I don't miss.
Wild.
That's what I don't miss about growing up in Colorado is the snowy games like that. We used to go to the Denver Broncos games, and those are some crazy playoff games.
It's been cold.
A lot of fun, but I bet it's cold for sure.
It's definitely cold. But you're kind of leading us into B. So on this podcast, we do use the acronym BURN. So each letter is a little different time in your life. So kicking things off with B. B stands for beginning. So take us back to your childhood, growing up. Were there some burn moments that you had to overcome that truly got you to where you are at today?
Oh yeah, lots of burn moments, lots of failures, lots of emotional learning, life experience growing up. You know, I thought I had everything. My parents were together, my mom and dad. And I just remember just being crazy. I lived next to a funeral home. He was cool. You know, he'd always give me tickets to the WWF. I was a big Ultimate Warrior fan and exciting. Like, I liked how he'd just come out explosive, wrestle for 30 seconds, give you entertainment. Match was done. He was winning, you know. So, yeah, growing up, I'd always just take my cart up to the top of the hill, roll down, you know, have some fun, turned it in, was always into excitement, loved playing baseball. And the burn moment came when I was like 7, 8 years old. My parents, you know, they were constantly fighting. I seen a lot of chaos inside my home, a lot of traumatic life experience, you know, that I just kind of thought was normal. Once my parents split up, my mom went into drug addiction, dealing with the emotional problems that turned into an addiction. And it's actually taken over her life and pretty much cost her. She needs 24-hour rehabilitation care constantly. She can kind of remember old things. It's kind of hard to talk and communicate. But growing up in that environment, it like my life just kind of went to shatters. I was like a kid, I had like drums, I had like these carts, I was playing baseball. My parents were together. I thought I was living this dream, or you know what parenthood and things were supposed to be. And then seeing this inside my home, the chaos, and I'd always beg my mom to go back, take my dad back. I didn't know any better, you know. And so, you know, as time went on, the separation, my mom had custody of me. We were going through life. She was abused by these other men that she was getting in these relationships with. More drug addiction, you know, getting kicked out of my home 2, 3, 4 in the morning, going to school the next day, switching schools, going to school one day, switching to elementary schools the next day. Constant burn moments, you know, growing up, like my clothes were wrinkly. They always smelled like cigarettes. My mom was like a smoker. So I'd be getting made fun of. I'd be falling asleep, kind of getting bullied on a little bit. So those burn moments, you know, I definitely have a lot about them. I mean, I can keep going on to this, but my childhood, you know, I'll just kind of keep going from there is growing up, you know, having to go through different schools, seeing my mom out there getting beat. You know, another thing is she had like 25 cents in this gas, you know, and she'd be like, here, go ask somebody for some gas money. So I hated asking people for things kind of growing up because I'd be like, man, I felt like that was kind of weak, you know, to ask people for something, you know, but here it is 2, 3 in the morning. And my mom, we just got kicked out. Her boyfriend got into like a blow up fight and I have to go and ask people for things, which was kind of like embarrassing just to kind of get somewhere down to the shelter or whatever it may be. Growing up, you know, as I was kind of living this lifestyle, my grandma and grandpa took care of me. My grandma is my mom's mom, and my grandpa, he was a stepfather, cool figure. You know, I grew up watching my uncle wrestle inside North High School, he was a heavyweight. You know, the ground was shaking. He was entertaining. He was showing me these UFC fights and showing me Mark Kerr and Tank Abbott. You know, he was just knocking these guys out. And emotionally, I just kind of like growing up, I always just felt that pain that I had inside, and I always just bottling up. And I'm like, I want to fucking treat people. Or excuse me, I want to treat people like that. You know, like if they fuck with me or overstep my boundaries, like I want to kind of get into these fights. I feel like, you know, I'm kind of this exciting kid growing up inside my home. I was kind of like, man, I kind of like this violence. I feel like I could be here. I was growing up wrestling underneath my uncle and my grandfather. I was living in that home. They kind of gave me a little bit of stability when my mom was kind of going off back and forth. But that's kind of how I got involved with MMA. Was he was showing me these videos, and then, you know, we had an apartment close to their house, and I would live there. And sometimes, you know, things would be different. I'd be staying over there. Well, my grandfather see me get into a fight like out into the street when I was a kid, like in elementary school, kind of, you know, I was just sticking up for myself, whipped this kid up, and he just looked at me and was like, hey, you all right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's kind of let me go in. My grandma was like, hey, you need to eat. You got excited there. You beat that kid up, you know, like, you need to eat. And he just kind of, you know, was showing me these tapes. And when I was 16, he's like, hey, you should come down to this place called Toad Holler. I was like, Grandpa, you got to be 18 to get in. He's like, no, I know these guys. I was like, all right. And then that's how I kind of led into MMA. Was a lot of burns growing up, and it was kind of building this momentum and fighting. And then, you know, my grandfather seeing me, you know, go through all this stuff, and he's seeing me like this fighting. He's just seeing me out there. And he's like, you know, he was never really trying to like, he would just, hey, you all right, bud? You okay? And he was just kind of leading the way. He just kind of helped me do my thing, take me to practices. He just kind of gave me some cool advice. He never tried to coach me in any type of way. He was just always kind of guiding me. I think he was seeing some things around me, which he's gone and passed away now. But I think he was just kind of seeing some momentum build up.
Yeah. Back to those years before when you were kind of growing up and in the heart of all that tough stuff. Was there something that kind of brought you like a little bit of peace to some of those hard times?
No, not really. Not when you were going through it, I guess, at the time. I was just a very young man trying to grow up, and I was just like, man, when I'm old enough to do something, which is probably about 16, the stuff that I was seeing on the streets, getting my street smarts, I was, you know, like, I wasn't the best in school, but I had like good athletic abilities. You know, I loved to play. I was really focused into that. Kind of got by. I would just say, no, you know, you had to kind of learn and go through it. I think over time, I had to kind of learn to develop, you know, what was really truly going on.
Yeah. You mentioned that you played baseball and you're actually a standout baseball player. Why did you not want to stick with baseball and pursue mixed martial arts?
Mixed martial arts caused me trouble in my school. You know, I was 16, you know, hanging out. I got in trouble for drinking, getting caught at a party. That was like a strike on our thing. And, you know, they didn't like me fighting down there. I was 16. I was basically telling like my school, they're like, man, you fight down there. We were going down there. They're like, hey, we don't like you guys going down there. That was a strike. But basically just, I had a problem with, you know, growing up in high school. I had this chip on my shoulder. You know, my mom was still into drugs. You know, I was living with my dad. I really wasn't like the most stablest kid in that mental mindset at the time. So drinking kind of was a problem at the time, and getting caught multiple times. I ended up getting a couple strikes off the baseball team and got kicked off. And I didn't know how to use my voice. I just stayed quiet. The coach kind of just kicked me off. Some of the parents were like, you know, trying to fight for me on the team. You know, my dad, you know, he never went up or kind of like fought for me. I kind of just laid back and stayed silent. And that was kind of like another burn moment, you know. And then, you know, obviously mixed martial arts picked up like shortly, like right after that. That was like my second chance of an opportunity, and took it and ran with it. And I was like, man, I'm not going to let this go, you know, because I literally thought like I was going to go play professional baseball.
Yeah. It's crazy how like doors just kind of shut like that and then one opens again. And obviously if you were stick on the baseball team, maybe you're not sitting here today. But how big of an influence, you mentioned your grandpa getting you into MMA. How big of an influence was he for you?
He was huge. He was huge. Things that go on today in my life that I see like through him. Like I remember during Christmas, everybody's like, I got a nice place, it's and as soon as the wrappers, my kids start getting wrappers, I start picking it up and I put it into the little trash sack, and I'm always like, hey, is this your pop? This your pop? There's like little things that I see, and like just outside my pool kind of reminds me of him. And he was always outside in the pool, speedo, tanning, always lifting weights. But he was a major influence, and I miss him a lot. And I know he's around looking down and seeing how life kind of turned out. He's definitely a powerhouse in my thoughts, like each and every day.
Mm-hmm. Fast forward to your first MMA fight. What was that like?
First MMA, wild. I've been in some street fights, so I was kind of ready for this. I'd competed in some wrestling and stuff. But it was at a bar. People were smoking cigarettes at the time. There's women around. Everybody's drinking. I'm just 16 years old. My grandpa was like, hey, come in. I know these guys. And he signed me up, and I'd fought some like older dude, 20-something years old, young. And, I'd fought and I'd won. And that, I think right then and there was like, man, this is awesome. The thrill of winning. The thrill of like, my older sister was there. She was like, she's very friendly and open. She's like grabbing these strippers, and I'm young, 16 at the time. She's like, this is my little brother. He just fought in one tonight. Check him out. Yeah. And here we are. It's like kicking, and people are like, man, this is exciting. Just kind of the way that I fought, people were just coming up to me. So that was like another thrill. It was like, wow, like people are really like enjoying this. This is fun. Obviously, getting praise like that. It was like cracking a home run. Yeah. And that's really when it kind of just clicked to me. It was like, wow, this is fun. This is exciting. The thrill, like I almost puked. I thought I was gonna die. Like I blacked out. I didn't realize like what had kind of happened, because all the emotions. It took me a while to kind of get into a fight without like blacking out. And
really?
Like going through like that mindset of just kind of like black out, like boom, boom, boom. And then like I would go back and be like, man, I'm kind of like remembering like little segments and kind of trying to piece it together, because of like that was like the adrenaline running through my veins. Like someone's like, bro, you just knocked that guy out. I'm like, dude, what happened?
Really?
Like, this is crazy. Like, oh my God. Like, and I'd kind of go back, like once I'd kind of calm down, it was like, I would kind of go back and like picture like a little bit of moments, or I'd hear my coach like, dude, you were telling me to throw the uppercut. Like I could hear you. He's like, you can hear that? Just kind of tell him like my experience. It was different. It was like, I kind of left my body and then kind of came back. Just those connections.
So the majority of the fight,
thrill.
you would just completely black out. You wouldn't even know what happened.
Yeah. I'd just be so ready to just get my hands on him and go, and just kind of like almost in a sense, like scared. Freaked out, like, dude, I can't believe, like, oh my God, I can get my arm broke. I'm 16 years old. Yeah. I'm fighting grown men. I'm like, dude, I can get my arm broke, my jaw broke. This guy looks freaking huge. Yeah. Like he's got like, he looks like he's a security guard. I'm 16. My grandpa's like, hey, signing me up, like, hey, get me in. He, basically like I'm in a bar. This is illegal. Yeah. It's like, it's kind of wild experience, just to know that, but at this age, going through life, I'm like, I've known. You sign that dotted line, you step up to fight, bro. That's exactly what could happen. So that, knowing that, just my natural instincts, baseball, wrestling, street, it was just all happening like in that moment. And that's why I was just like, what the heck? What just happened?
Yeah. You said it lasted a few fights. At what point did you start to like really absorb being in a fight?
Probably about after 8 professional fights in.
Really? Yeah, that long?
Sometimes I was just having these short fights, knocking guys out, and then I had lost and got choked out. And that's really what kind of like made me like pissed off. I was like, man, that sucks. Like, I want to win. I want this attention. I want that excitement. I feel like a fucking loser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like seriously, at this, like really, like real talk. I'm like, man, like I hate losing. Like this sucks. Like, but one thing I know about competing is like, it was like baseball. I'm like, this isn't war. I'm alive. Like, let me just shake this game off. What feedback, criticism do I need to give myself, and how do I get back and approach it? And that's what made me hungrier. It was like, man, how do I learn to like do this jiu-jitsu and add this into my wrestling and strike? And then that's when I was kind of like looking up to these people and look. I was literally training wrestling from 4 to 6, and then going like, halfway across the Des Moines area to go to meet Josh Neer in the Des Moines Mixed Martial Arts Academy. And then he'd like get on me for being late, and I'm like, bro, I got school, and I was just 16 trying to like piece it all together. So that was a fun deal.
Did you have any like particular role models that were in the UFC at that point, or even before the UFC that you're looking up to, trying to become?
Tank Abbott, Mark Kerr had a cool documentary that I really loved and enjoyed. I didn't like his wrestling was dominant, but I liked one time he came out and he just kneed a guy, and it looked like he just killed him. Vitor Belfort, when he kneed Marvin Eastman, those knees, bro, it made me just like, that's how I wanted to fight. I wanted to scare people. I just didn't want to put my hands in small gloves. Like, no, I want to knee people and elbow them. And, you know, when I would take people down, this sounds kind of weird, but being from the Midwest, you start to elbow somebody or knee them, it's like a deer in the headlights. Their eyes change. It's different from trying to just box. Yeah. So that was like a thing. Sounds kind of weird and sick, but that was like a thing that I really loved about the Vitor Belfort's, the intensity, the walkout of Tito Ortiz, him just getting hyped into the crowd, like let the crowd get behind him, like let that momentum, like feeling that, like it's a feeling it's hard to describe unless you're in there, you know?
Yeah, I always want to say I want to take one fight just so I can feel the nerves of it. And
let's do it, man. Let me train you. You know,
I'm down. No, I'm down.
We're not that far away from each other. So
Yeah.
if you guys do, come train and let's get after it and see where you're at.
Where do you train at?
At a Victory MMA.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the
just
Alliance
right down
team.
there.
We're
Yeah,
under Victory
that's
MMA.
with Eric, right?
Point Loma, Eric Del Fierro.
Yeah, Eric Del Fierro.
Jocko's over there. You
Okay.
know, he's got his podcast, so tons of connections. You know, it's a great area. You can go surf and run right over there. And Malt Shop, literally. Shout out to the Malt Shop guys. They're like a burger joint, but you get the J-Bone special, the buffalo plate. It's
perfect,
lean, good.
Really?
I'm trained, man.
Oh, we want to. Well, I grew up doing judo. Actually, my dad, he was on the Olympic team. He did judo. So he lived at the training center for 4 years. And kind of the time that he retired, they started developing a kids program. And so I did it for a long time, probably till I was like 10 or 11. And then I kind of got into football and basketball and baseball and hockey and all these different sports. But now interviewing a lot of MMA fighters, being around the sport a lot, I really want to go back. I really want to learn jiu-jitsu. That's like the one thing I want to know, because it's so cool how calm they are in like really tough positions, like when someone has your back or whenever they do have a choke in.
Yeah, let's go. I want to learn jiu-jitsu too. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go.
We'll go train at Victory.
Was that Colorado where he was training? Is that where?
Yeah, the Olympic Training Center down in Colorado.
I've been there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, with Coach Ed Liddy. Ed Liddy was his coach, and he was he got bronze in the Olympics. I can't remember what year it was, but he got bronze in the Olympics. So
that's sick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
We have to set this up.
I want to go strike. I love hitting pads.
We'll do it all.
Full MMA.
Even the cardio kickboxing fellas, I'm telling you, they just have like music blaring, whether it's techno, hip hop, you know, something to kind of, you know, they're yelling out squats, burpees, double kick. It's super simple, but it's so fun.
Yeah,
because you're not hurting yourself by kicking anybody or anything.
Yeah,
obviously you can learn that. There's other classes like leading up to that. But the cardio kickboxing is just fun. You can just let out right there, like just bomb on it.
Boom, and just hit bags and
go back to work.
It is such a hard workout.
So tough.
It's motivating though, because then you got girls around too that are doing this workout. You can't be a little girl. You know, you got to step up. You bow, bow, bow. It's fun. They're pushing you. You're sweating. You're working. Yeah, it's a good time, man.
All right, I'm in. Are you in?
I'm in.
All right, let's go do it.
A year later from now, me and Priest are both making our walks in a fight.
Having Jeremy Stevens in our corner.
We're making this walk.
Little smoker events, bro. We'll get you in there, dude. I'd be honored if you really took it serious, because obviously I want to train guys, but you know I just want to corner anybody. I feel like I'd rather know that you're prepared, so we just develop that trust and. Let's go smash some kids.
The heart's already racing right now. I can feel it. I'm nervous.
All right, Jeremy, it's time to go to U and burn. It stands for unfortunate. Just like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I was unfortunately caught on fire in a school science experiment by my teacher that went horribly wrong and exploded like a bomb, like a literal bomb in my face. And I was immediately rushed to ICU, where I spent a week there, had 7 surgeries, one every single day, and a 50% chance to survive, because with burns, the swelling is so bad in the neck, and they were worried about my breathing stopping. But whenever I was in the hospital, that's where I found my burn moment. I'm a competitive golfer, so I had my dad go get my putter, and I put ball after ball after ball into this little glass jar. And in that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out of this hospital bed. I'm going to go fight. I'm going to turn this awful experience into one of the biggest positive experiences. And I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, if that moment doesn't happen in the hospital, I'm not talking to Jeremy Stevens, nor do I have this podcast. So,
Yeah.
Wow. That gives me chills, dude.
thank you. I
'Cause
appreciate
that
it.
right there. I think like everybody sees fighting, but I always try to relate. Everybody's fighting for something. For you to describe that gives me chills, bro. Because I can
Thank you. Appreciate
only
it.
imagine that and going through that and getting there in the mental capacity. By the way, you look great, and to see
Thank
you going
you.
on tearing up your life right now, bro. That's awesome. I'm honored that you young kids even wanted to. Podcast interview with an old G like me. So I appreciate it, man. Shout out to the young fans out there watching. That's pretty cool, and I guess I will share something.
Awesome. Yeah. Feel free.
Yeah, just probably going on with my mom. The success that I wanted to have as a young UFC fighter out of Des Moines, Iowa, making it in these shows, competing, fighting in main events. A risk taker, guys knocking people out, exciting, getting bonuses. Like I just always wanted to have my mom a part of that, to be like, hey, look, I'm proud of you. Maybe you can watch my kids and just be there in these you don't have to give me a second.
Yeah, no worries.
No,
But
no worries.
yeah, it's a good one to get off. But just to be there supporting my kids, like seeing my dream kind of unfold because of her and the stuff that I have gone through with her. Your mom's sitting over here, so this is tough. It's your moms are important, and my mom was like amazing. She did the best for me. Even though I went through fucked up shit.
It's hard because
it's tough. It's tough for me to get out. I guess I'm just trying to be vulnerable and get it off my chest, but it's hard without choking up and just kind of feeling that. Like how I was feeling with you, and I just wanted my mom to be here. To be here in California, my house, with my kids. I always thought I would experience that. That was my expectation. My mom will get it together, fix her drug addiction, and get with me. We're like, this is gonna happen. It never did.
Yeah.
So, before I'd fought Calvin Cater in this COVID experience with Dana, he just show goes on. I love it. I love it because I didn't really believe in COVID. Like everybody's got their views or whatever, but I believe in it. I have a good immune system. Dr. Sebi, spraying water, baby. I got called and there was my mom. She'd kind of just she had a stroke. She was getting abused by this guy, and she was just so drugged up. Overly medicated. She couldn't walk, just beat down from all the years, like just abuse of men and her drug addiction. And my mom had called me the week, like as I'm going into the Calvin Cater fight, COVID, or they're calling me with like all this madness, and I'm just like, fuck. This isn't time to fight. Like COVID's going on, like world. I'm like, fuck. This seemed like world was like crashing down. But I'm like, what? I gotta provide. I gotta support my family. Show goes on. That's what I signed up for. 16. Doesn't fucking matter. You gotta perform.
Yeah.
And there I go. This fucking smashing elbow, beautiful. Like I'm kicking this guy's ass, fucking. But in the fight, bro, I didn't really want to be there. But here I am. I'm doing good. I'm hearing my coaches. I'm letting it rip. I'm taking my fucking pain and my rage, my anger, and then boom, elbow. Yeah. Life. I was kicking from the calf, so my foot as I'm walking out there, Dana comes in the back. Famous like little clip it, and I'm just like, sorry, man, I fucked up. Like I was really hoping I'd get that fight, and. I had to go back, and they're like, hey, you want a chair? And I'm like, nah, I'm walking out of here. Like, I want to deal and feel this pain. And I just wanted to deal with it, feel it naturally, not take no medicine, nut myself up or nothing. Because of what my mom was going through and the shit that, her medications. And so I just wanted to deal with it raw. I got sober and stuff like that. And went through a lot of EQ, emotional intelligence classes. I'm very glad that I had that and the mental capacity be where I was. And, you know, that was like a burn moment is I wanted my mom to be here to experience this life, this beautiful life. My kids, she doesn't know them, never had a relationship with them. My beautiful daughters, you know, I have a newborn too. And that was like that was probably like the hardest moment is that my mom couldn't experience like my success, but she's healthy, you know, like I get to go back and take my time with her and just be pure unconditional love because she doesn't have anything else. I don't have any memories, just like old school stuff, but it's very different.
Yeah.
So that was like a big burn moment. And I was in sadness for probably about like a year and a half. You know, and I had this talk with my mom or my wife, and I was like, hey, how do you see me? Like, give me some feedback. She's like, just sad. She's like, you feel sad? And I was like, man, I didn't realize like I'd been carrying all this like sadness for years. Even though like I had the EQ, I've been to classes, like this is just real life hitting me, bro.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta provide. Like I'm like, fuck, man, I'm having a hard time with UFC, climbing back up the mountain and, you know, winning these fights. And there I am, I'm like, fuck, dude, like this is real life. You know, I have to figure it out. But once I had that talk with my wife and I realized like, man, I'm in this sadness, like, okay, like let me shift. I've like, maybe I did need like that year and a half to kind of just fucking deal with this shit. Like, here we go. Like, all right, there we go. The mental mindset started shifting. I started kind of reaching out, getting some mental coaching, started doing some different exercises, talking to my coach, getting a little bit more vulnerable, sharing my shit with like my wife, like my dark past and history and my mom's stuff like growing up. So here I am just like relieving like all this stuff, you know, and then here we go, you know, like fast forward and like here I am having like a $500,000 year. I'm getting these opportunities, you know, even like after UFC, I'm making more money than ever, you know, than I did with UFC. Here I am. I have like a good support team. My manager like setting me up, getting these opportunities, kind of speak my story, the real story, the truth out there. Let people know like I am human.
Yeah.
You know, like they just think it's like sometimes you're just like a beast or you just go through like all this shit and like you're not human. Like it's real life, you know, because I've been, you know, a young kid since I was 16 years old. Like all I ever known is providing with my hands for my kids, my own life. Like, you know, I just wanted my mom to be a part of that. So that burn moment, like in embracing all that, it's kind of helped me elevate to the person that I am. And it helps me like share my life with other people, but let alone like give that like piece of the puzzle and DNA and the fucked up ancestry to my kids. It gives them like a good level to vibrate on.
Yeah.
We commend you so much for being so vulnerable. And I think a lot of people in this day and age can really take motivation from people like you that, yeah, on the outside, it may look like everything's put together, but on the inside, like you've been through some stuff and just that average person watching right now, looking at you, maybe you changed their world just by sharing that.
Yeah. Oh shit, man. It's real life.
Yeah.
You know, so this guy that gave me a compliment the other day goes, man, you've always kept it real, man. You've always been the same dude. And I said, man, thank you, man. Like really took the time. I was like, thank you. Appreciate that, you know?
Yeah.
Because fighting is real. You know, I've seen people get
life.
famous through fighting and people switch up a little bit. Fighting's real. You know, it's real life and people go through real things. You know, we're fighting to provide and, you know, to make it and, you know, just enjoy life. But, you know, it's a very real, people, they're human, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for sharing. I just give you so much respect and congratulations on being sober. That's awesome. And whenever I had my accident, they always told me to just don't hold it in because it can haunt you. And it seems like that's what you did. You started speaking out to people, and I'm sure it's helped you in places that you don't know where it helped you in.
Yeah, and you know, thanks for sharing your vulnerable moments, man. That kind of like what you were saying gave me chills. Kind of, you know, I didn't really want to tell people that stuff. You know, it gets me like choked up talking that. You know, your beautiful mom's over here chilling. You know, it's like that was tough. You know, but I appreciate you helping me get that out there. And you know, again, it's like when we can share things like that, coming from different spectrums. You know, other sides of the world, and to kind of come together like that, it's quality. Thank you.
But we all go through it too. Everyone goes through it, and that's like our whole mission is like everyone goes through burn moments. But what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna lay down and give up? Or are you gonna change and turn your life around like you did?
Yeah. Come back strong, man, with a vengeance. You know, you got to, bro. You gotta. I love those moments because as much as that kind of like almost like it didn't break me. and it didn't, and it's like it made me stronger. Now you like when you have that chip on your shoulder and you're wanting more and more, and you're wanting that success, and you're chasing after it, you're willing to do whatever it takes, and you're just a dog. Like, you're never giving up, no matter how the road goes, the roller coaster, just that never giving up. And those set of tools, they go past fighting. They go to like real life, your relationships, things that you're doing outside of just that box. So it's really good to have that value.
Yeah. And treat every day like it's your last, because you never know when something can happen.
Damn straight, bro.
Yeah.
Especially driving out here on these streets in California. It's
man,
they're crazy out here, man.
They're crazy drivers. I thought like Colorado was kind of bad, and then you come out here and it's like totally different game when you get out here. It is wild. But all right, Jeremy, it's time to go to it's ridiculous, a little bit lighter. Unfortunate times really build us to who we truly are, and for you going through all that in your life, I really think that's made you who you are, and you're an inspiration to thousands of people out there. So we commend you for that. This portion of the Burn Factory podcast is sponsored by Phoenix Salon Suites. Please visit Phoenix Salon Suites at PHENIX Salons SALON Suites SUITES.com to find one near you.
As you guys may know, I was tragically burned in a school science experiment by my teacher that gave me a 50% chance to survive. And through that, I have to wear sunscreen every day for the rest of my life. And as being a golfer, the brand I trust is Kula.
Man, look at this bottle. Kula. This just screams beaches, waves, and sun. So let's give this a smell.
The nice wind of a Tropicana breeze.
This is smelling like Hawaii, our favorite place. So next time you guys need sunscreen, go get yourself Kula. You'll thank us later. R does stand for ridiculous. So all those fights, all those years, was there a ridiculous burn moment that you kind of came across? Maybe a fan like asked you a ridiculous question, or someone yelled something at you. Was there something a little ridiculous?
Yeah, that time Conor McGregor, who the fuck's that guy? There we are at the New York press conference, and that moment right there, like I was like, I knock motherfuckers out and they don't move. This guy TKOs people, and I felt like I said like a really hard punchline because, you watch my highlight tape, when I knock people out, they're not moving.
Yeah.
His guys, they're kind of moving. He KO'd Aldo or whatever, so I thought I hit him with the hot one. And he's like, "Who the fuck's that guy?" He turns around, and I was just like, in my mind, like growing up being bullied, I was never a good shit talker. I'll kid you not. I went to a lot of different schools. I could never talk shit. Yeah. But if it ever came confrontational, I always try to lay back. If you break my boundary, then we got it on. So that who the fuck is that guy? That one's always around. That's hilarious, and I used it. I was fighting Frankie Edgar at the time, a guy I felt like he was ducking, wasn't really trying to fight a guy. Frankie, he was killing people at the time. He just knocked out Chad Mendez. He was going up, and I'm like, here I am, like this guy's been around the business for years. I haven't got the wins or the kind of thing that Conor has, the it factor, the whole country behind him. I mean, he's killing it, but I'm like, here I am. I'm fighting these fucking top guys, So I had like a couple losses, but I remember being like, I'm gonna fucking, who the fuck's that guy?
Yeah,
but after I knocked out Bermudez, I had taken a picture with his mom like a while back, and I always had that in the back pocket. So once I got on my wins and got my shit, I'd always send out like, I'd have a picture of his mom. She was just snugged up too, and it's hilarious. So,
I love
Mother's Day and stuff like that. I always just like, or like people tag me like when he's like out on the boat and his mom's there, like, hey, look at this. So,
you just throw right back at him.
Yeah, no, but that was a good ridiculous moment. It was funny. Hats off to him.
In that moment, whenever he said it, did you had a laugh probably internal where you just like
oh no, I was burning up, dude. Like you see my eyes. I was like, you ever seen Me, Myself, and Irene, where Jim Carrey just starts kind of snapping and the music just goes off in his head and he starts turning into schizophrenia, dude?
Oh yeah, I think it's that.
He's like, and he's like, the music's just going off. That's kind of how I felt at the time, and I froze up. I guess I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to talk shit. I was just like, I thought if we threw bottles at that time, we'd get fined. I wasn't making big bucks like him, so
yeah, it was a good punchline too. Like you can't discredit it. Like it was a good punchline.
No, it's hilarious, man. It's funny.
Have you guys talked since? Have you ever talked to him or no?
No, he's done some things where he's like, he went back to that and was like, no, I know who Jeremy is, and great fighter and things like that. But I've never ran into him. Just kind of, he's floating outside the UFC. He's doing his thing right now, and he's on the sidelines injured. He's a businessman. It's kind of different times. I always thought we'd cross paths. I always looked up as like a great matchup.
Yeah.
Fuck the money.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's there if that matchup ever comes. But I always, was like, I always saw his calves back in the day and things like that. Like where I was like, oh, I'll wrestle him up a bit. Throw some big shots, calf kick him,
Throw some elbows.
elbows. Get him. Just mix it up a little bit to where I know he gets tired, and that's kind of where like later rounds I really rev it up. And he's a big puncher. He's got the chance to knock you out. So it's definitely one of those fights where you're gonna get up every day and train hard for. But it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
With you in boxing now, though, maybe you could do a boxing fight with him.
Yeah, you never know, man.
If the money's right.
The money's always right.
right.
If you fight Conor, it's red panty night, like they say. But I think it's just a great matchup. Overall, I think it's a solid matchup.
No,
Would you prefer him in MMA or boxing if you were to fight him?
Both.
Both?
Either one's good. I like MMA. I like boxing. I think we're both good at got different styles, but
Both in the same night.
that'd be tough.
That'd be tough. When you knock someone out, is it just a different feeling? Like that one put him out?
Time slows down.
Really?
Time slows down. The moment, like I can picture him like it's like I don't know. I can just picture being in the moment. It's a weird time glimpse, like time and space, and I can get weird with it. But I mean, it's a weird, pure moment. Knocking him out, I could kind of see his movements. I'm a big baseball player, so I can read guys. That's why guys with the spinning stuff and Yair's, they never knock me out, never been hit with anything like that. I was always able to read a fastball, curveball, so I can always kind of picture that. He just kept moving to my right hand side, moving. So, I threw a hook to kind of stop him, and then my coaches were like, hit him with the upper. Like I was throwing knees the entire fight. He just wasn't shooting down low enough. He was kind of staying upper body and the uppercut, it just slowed down. And I remember just as like I can picture it just like it was yesterday. Yeah, his head just rolling back in his eyes and him going down and me just kind of landing shots and then running off into the cage.
Yeah. That's interesting that it slows down. Does the entire fight slow down? Like when you go into a fight, is it like super fast paced or does it kind of slow down once you get comfortable?
I feel like my experience now, I can really slow it down. I can kind of see everything. It gets real. Especially like during you fight during COVID, it gets intimate.
Yeah.
Hearing the breathing and things like that, you can really like slow it down. I like it being slow now. Yeah. As as I said, I started off like I would just spaz and black out. Now I have this kind of whole different like zen about it, like, but still instinctual. It's weird. It's like everything can slow down, but it just like that, just boom. You can make a counter or you can strike or whatever it is, but. This is things I would love to teach you guys about and just kind of like go through it a bit. Yeah, and just have some fun with it so you can get the experience.
How hard was it fighting during COVID though? Like that fight week, taking all those tests and was it different than usual? Or?
No, not really. Just kind of weird.
Yeah,
like you can't like just go off and like do your thing. You can't just roll out and go off to run in the park, things like that. You're trying to eat this like certain food. They just kind of lock you down, and tests were normal. It just kind of reminded you of like media. Just kind of do this. And
what about the Apex though, with no crowd? That had to be really weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I personally I like the fighting aspect once the fight like takes place, but I feel like no excuses at all. But I love a crowd.
Yeah,
I love like feeding off that energy. Like I was telling you earlier with the WWF, the Ultimate Warrior, man. When Austin, 316 came out, that music, the glass would break. People would just go nuts. Yeah. And I love that. I love like feeding off the energy. That's what the fans are for. That's what people want to see,
Yeah.
I've been in street fights. Like we were out here playing football and you get into a fight, like, all right, yeah, cool, man. Like normally like everybody's kind of pissed off. Like they're friends with that guy, they're friends with that. Now the game's ruined, everybody's going home.
Yeah.
Like when it was like someone you didn't like and it was a matchup, the crowd, like, it pumps you up and it thrills you.
Yeah.
Or even when they're just hating on you. I've been down to Brazil. They were just like, you're gonna die. Screaming the boom on my head or whatever it is, like you're gonna die. And then you go out and head kick a guy in 40 seconds and it's just nothing but silence. And there I am, just like, just like going crazy.
Yeah.
My coach like, boom, taps me like, hey homie.
Like,
come back down to earth, and then like looking around, realizing like, oh man, they're not, Yeah, like everybody's
They're
just
not playing
silent now.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories of fighters fighting in the apex that they just almost can't like wake up because of it. Like usually when you make that walk, you got a massive crowd yelling, bright lights, but when no one's in there, it's weird. And we've been there. We've been to a few fights, and like nothing can compare to being in a sold out arena. Like there's
Right.
nothing on earth.
Yeah, you know what? And that's kind of funny you say that. My Dos Anjos fight, that was like on a Brock Lesnar, maybe Couture card, or I've always been on these big cards or starting off like a big card, and I love that. It was like, it was like these Conor McGregor cards I've been on, these like some of the biggest cards, even fight nights that I've had. It's always been jam packed. I've always done well with numbers and been on these huge cards too, where they're not even focused on me, but I went and slid off and like done these like cool knockouts. It's good to be in that energy. Kind of being in the apex, it's like coaching. It kind of just it throws the mood off for me because I like kind of chaos, excitement. Obviously, growing up, how I want like a house party going on, chaos going on. Like we're going outside, everybody's chanting and screaming. I like that. It just gives you edge.
Going back to your UFC debut, what was that like? All the emotions.
Den Thomas, I was doing great. I was doing great in that fight. Just really kind of letting rip, kind of getting into my moment. I'm like, man, I'm beating this like older guy. Like I knew I could beat him. People at the time, they're like, you took that fight because he had just fought Kenny Florian. Or no. He had just fought like Guida or somebody, just beat somebody. He was like on his way to the title shot. And they're like, hey, do you want to fight Den Thomas? Like a guy had backed out. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, people, on the download, like, you think you could be? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, what do you think, bro? Like, I don't have nothing to lose here. This is UFC. I've been training this my whole life. Like, my grandpa believed in me. I've been watching these. I've been in street fights. I've seen, crackheads at the house. Like, I've seen, like, crazy shit. Like, I'm going to fight this guy. Yeah, all it is just a camera in your face, and you can blow up your life if you knock this motherfucker out. Like, yeah, I'm gonna beat this guy. So that was my mindset going in, and here I was doing good, and he threw me in an arm bar. I picked him up, I slammed him down, and I rolled back, and I went to, like, go to roll, and my hand just hit, like, his lap, just like that, just like a boom. And he's like, and it was a deep arm bar.
Yeah.
And Big John, being the veteran guy that he is, he had stopped the fight. But I'm this young kid. I just was like, dude, this is my only shot. This is my only way out. Baseball had failed. Like, I've been starving. I got staph infection fucking bills I got to pay, to the doctor. I've been grinding. Like, I'm only making $3,000 at this first UFC fight. I'm like, dude, I just lost. Like, I'm not going to be able to come back. And I get up and I'm like, I didn't tap. He's like, yes, you did. I was like, no, I didn't fucking tap. And I'm snapping out, right? And back in the day, a little guy named like Joe Silva, he looks like Joe Pesci, would come in, had the black hair, the suit. He was always like, he was Sean Shelby, is the guy now, but he came over with WEC, Sean Shelby, but Joe Silva was the man. He's in the octagon and he comes up. I didn't know who the fuck that guy was, right? And I'm like, he's coming up to me and I'm snapping out to my buddy. He's like, I didn't fucking tap. Like, I'm losing it because I'm like, dude, my UFC shots, like, everything's burning right now, bro.
Yeah.
It just blew up right in front of my face. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I'm never going to be able to back here. And Joe comes up, like, hey, man, great job. You'll be back. I'm like, oh, I didn't fucking tap. He's like, no, I know you didn't tap. I was like, I didn't fucking tap. And then he just kind of like saw the situation and rolls out. Yeah. And later on, my manager at the time had kind of went back and he goes, hey, bro, do you remember that little guy with the suit? And I was like, yeah. He was shaking my hand. I was like, I don't know who the fuck that guy was. Like, whatever. He's like, dude, that's the matchmaker. That's the guy who got you the fight. Like,
you're like, oh no.
And I'm like, oh no. Yeah. So I'm like,
that's a ridiculous moment.
But
That's a ridiculous moment.
It was a ridiculous moment. But you know what the funny thing was is he actually was like, I remember him telling me like, dude, you'll be back. That was awesome. That was exciting. And he went back and told my manager like, wow, I'm really glad that I fucking had this guy come on. Like, dude, he like people are talking about him. Like, and that fight kind of got highlighted like on a big card and stuff like that. And that was my initial start.
You mentioned you had to pay staph infection bills. Did you get staph the week of the fight or?
I had staph like in the gym at 18. I was having staph like once a month. I was having this crazy staph, and I didn't have any bills, so I just go to the random hospital, get what I could to get inferior because you could die from this stuff. So I'd get what I could, buy my prescription, and I just wouldn't pay my doctor bill because I had no money. And then when I would go and fight, I would pay my gym a little bit of money because he'd let me in the gym for free. I didn't have any money at the time. And then, you know, I just paid my bills. You know, the moment that I got like a big check, I literally immediately paid off like all my debt. I remember trying to buy my first house at like 21 or something. I had this huge check, 100 grand in the bank, and I tried to buy my first house, and they were like, you can't, you know, you don't have any credit. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't owe nobody nothing. You know, like, and then, you know, that's how I started like learning about credit. You know, I was a little bit late in the game, but that's how I kind of got through the process. And they're like, yeah, it'd be better if you had bad credit, because you'd have some type of credit. You know, the only thing I had was just, you know, medical bills that I had paid off at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
It's better to have bad credit than no credit?
Yeah, that's what they told me.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was going to buy the house cash and stuff, and they're like, no, you need to have some type of form of credit. And then I ended up like starting off with just buying my own credit card, putting like $300 on it. And that's kind of how I got in the game. And I started moving quick after that, but
Yeah.
I didn't understand. I was like, I owe nobody nothing
Yeah.
because of that credit, you know, like having that staff, like this always affected me. They'd always like call me up. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm this young kid, bro, training this grimy ass gym. Like my pad's like half off, half not, like my knuckles hanging out, my shin pad, you know, I was like,
Yeah.
I can't pay shit right now.
It's tough. But all right, Jeremy, it's time to go to N. N is 2 parts actually, so it's now and next. So are there some burn moments you're going through right now? And are there any burn moments that you see coming in the future? We know you've went into the boxing realm now, so are there some burn moments you're going through now?
I would say just to get vulnerable, like in life and making money financially, you know, I'm looking outside the box now, trying to find sources of cash flow and things like that. And I used to do these blogs, and I've been wanting to kind of get back into like kind of what you guys are doing, making money off like, you know, giving my content out there, showing how to like knock people out, or defense, which like I love like how people like learn self-defense, especially like women and military or anything like that. Like love it, you know, especially girls, especially.
Yeah.
I love giving back like that. So I would say right now I'm just really trying to get open, get my ideas out there. I've been creating, journal a lot of things down, and I kind of want to start pumping some content and getting that next flow of revenue, podcast type coming up, getting like the future cash flow going, because obviously, you know, this is like a sprint to the finish of fighting. Fighting's going to run out. Like, what's the next step? And I kind of want to get out into, you know, speaking, you know, like doing TED Talks, motivational speaking, giving back to my community, looking for young and hungry up and coming like MMA guys. I got a few things out there. I wouldn't say like it's like a burn moment, but I'm really looking for like some true help, some true insight, people who are real like trusting, loving, caring, and actually want to be supportive of like these ideas. That's kind of what I'm doing now to flourish later on and as time goes on, you know, planting these seeds now.
Yeah.
So I need help, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So are you going to start a podcast though?
Yeah.
Yeah. You are? That'd be
Yeah.
dope.
I want to write a book, do all the stuff, you know, like Goggins. And, you know, I worked alongside Jocko. You know, he was in my corner for Sam Stout when I went there. There's an old school blog where he's just like, let's get it. And he's screaming, and we're going in, you know, Montreal Bell Center, 65,000 people. And Joe Silva was in the back, and he's like, who the hell is screaming?
Yeah.
It's a Navy SEAL, Jocko.
Yeah.
Let's get it. And, you know, and he sees me in the gym, and you'll hear him sometimes. He'll just see me and just spaz out. Like,
Really?
and people are like, what the fuck is going on?
He's here
You
in
know,
San
like,
Diego?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, come to the gym, boys. I'm telling
Yes.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll really have to do this now.
All right. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Today's
Tomorrow?
Sunday. Tomorrow.
What time?
10:30. We start the pro class. You hit me up on the side. Sometime we'll get in this week. We can get in the morning before my class. And if you guys want to stick around, watch like some pros, so you kind of get like ooh, this is how it looks. This is what, you know, these signs or calls make. But I think just getting around, I think you guys would like it.
I
There's
really want
cold
to. We'll
plunge
take you
there,
up on it.
shower, saunas.
Oh, we have a cold plunge here. We
Yep,
do it.
yeah.
I love it. I do it literally almost
Recovery.
every day.
That's good, man.
It like I feel so refreshed after, and I just mentally feel on it. It's crazy, and I don't really feel the effects until I don't have it, which is kind of like the weirdest thing about it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You got to starve that demon sometimes to get that awareness a bit.
Yeah,
You know, there's times where like I'll even just stay away from the gym. I want to go, and I'll just kind of starve that a little bit just to kind of get that like really good feeling. Alex Bejeda, you know, when Izzy just lost, he was like, man, he kind of mentioned some cool advice. He's like, you know, no hating on him or anything, but he's like, man, this guy performs all the time. He's like constantly fighting, constantly doing this. He's like, I think you should just take a break. He's made so much money. He's like, I think if just he took like 6 months off, did nothing, comes back, he'll be so much more like mentally refreshed and energized, kind of like what you're saying. And I was like, you know what? Like that kind of like rest is a weapon.
Yeah.
You know, people always grind, and they over grind. I think, like people sleep on like the recovery and like just sleep, how much sleep is actually so good for you. and your mental and your job and your success. And it's a huge part.
How long did it take you to like get to that point where you saw like rest is a necessity?
I learned at a young age, man. 18, 21, I was 21, 22 in the UFC. I thought my elbow was going to fall off swinging all crazy. Like, I mean, if you watch some of my older fights, I really taught myself how to like switch stances and shoot off different legs, and kind of like I had to adapt and build myself up. That's kind of why I went out and started talking to Dominic Cruz. I saw that he was shifting his stance. I saw that MMA was going there. So I ran into Diego Sanchez when I was 18. I was fighting locally, like at a spot. He came out. They're like, "Hey man, we got you a hotel. Do you want to just stay at the hotel, or you can stay with Jeremy?" He's like, he seems like a cool dude. So he stayed at my house. I watched him on the show. He was doing yoga, and coming from Iowa, bro, we're hard nosed. We're wrestling all the time, but I'd be so like just trashed. Like after I'm like, dude. So I started doing yoga. Coming out here, getting into yoga, I got into functional patterns, learned about myofascial release, how to like move my body, work on my posture, work on my breathing, sleep. So I learned this at like a very young age because I was car crashing my body every day, every week. And I wanted a long-term career, and I had like my daughter, and I'm like, man, I still feel like I can fight. I just kind of had to search for like, man, how do I get better? How can I keep showing up every day, Monday through Friday, which is excellence, like 80 to 100%, or even if I'm down to 70, like that's cool, like days I got to push, but how can I keep maintaining being in the gym? And that was always just recover, learning about sleep, do yoga, eat right, make sure you're drinking cold plunges, Epsom salt, suction cups, getting massage work. And I mean, it's a lot because, rolling out while you're watching Netflix, doing all this, I mean, it takes a lot of time. And what I find out the most is people are not willing to put in that time to recover. They'd rather play Call of Duty, relax, chill. Like the real ones, like the LeBron, Conor mentioned, like, bro, they're training their ass off. Like if you watch the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, he's training, or he's going out there on the field, he's doing it, but then he's back in the gym. He's training. He might be injured. They're working on his foot. They're rehabbing. They're doing everything they can. They're doing strengthening things. And then the next like day or two, he's back able to perform back out on the field. Most people would be like, man, I'm going to take like a week off. That stuff's going to just stay there. It's not going to go anywhere. You're not pushing blood through it. You're not getting the rest that you need. You're out in a week and a half. I mean, he has all this millions of dollars, but he's literally showing you, like, if you just put time into yourself, invest in yourself, push this stuff through, get through like old school ancient techniques. You don't need no steroids. Like you just need those types of rehabs and those ideas behind you, and boom, you can go out there and play the game.
I'll tell you what, if you do all the little things right, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks about doing the big things. I got to do the big things. But it's all in the little things that get to the big things. And that's what I like about you so much. Seems like you do all the little things right. And
you ever read that book, Chop Wood, Carry Water?
No, I haven't.
I don't know who it's by, but great book. And there's an Audible too. I've done both.
I'll have to do the audio.
Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's all about the small disciplines. And doing things like you're going to always take, like it's going to be yours. Like cleaning out a car, like asking you to do it. Like you clean out the car, you go over the top. Like that's always kind of like a reflection and a ripple effect out into your life. Doing the small little things. Chop Wood, Carry Water. It's a great book.
Yeah, as Priest mentioned, we're competitive golfers too, so we want to aspire to be pros one day, and we just started working with a mindset mental coach, and he told us to get that book, so that's why I remember it. Yeah, he was talking all about it, how great it was, and it literally changed his life, and just putting a different perspective on how you do even the little things each and throughout the day.
Yeah, another thing I want to say about that is, a lot of people think that you have to go through what I've like gone through or like explained. That's not it. You don't have to go through traumatic experience to be mentally tough. Mental toughness really comes from like, you can get a lot of power in just small disciplines. If you can control what you eat and drink, your food and water intake, you will get mentally tough. If you're really sticking to the regimen, you're not breaking the diet, you find little banks of confidence that's like, dude, I said no. Nope. Like, oh, my girlfriend wants me to come over. Nope. My friends want me to go out. Nope. I don't want to eat this. Like, no. Like, oh, here, you want a Sprite? You want to go? Nope. Like when you do that, like you gain like mental toughness, and it adds like an edge, like little things like that. You don't have to go through traumatic experiences, but if you can kind of keep those like small disciplines day to day, doing these like small, it adds up to like the Great Wall of China.
Yeah. Coming back to kind of today, Last 2 fights have been in boxing. Is boxing something that you're going to continue to do, or is it just kind of something that you dabbled in a little bit?
I think it has a future for sure. I think boxing, and I can always go back to MMA, and I'm prize fighting right now. I'm out in the like lone wolf in it right now. It's kind of great. I'm just picking up opportunities and using everything that I've have and values in my experiences and my connections and just taking advantage. Boxing seems to be the thing. And it's cool because boxing wants me. They're calling me. MMA people, they're still calling me. It's good to kind of still feel great that my name brings value. They want exciting fights because I feel like that's what I want. I want exciting matchups. I want to get paid my worth, and I want exciting matchups. I want to give the fans what they deserve, which is true exciting fights. I don't want boring fights or these someone trying to come up playing it safe. I really want to have these. This is a sprint to the finish. I really want to have these grand moments where I'm getting these super exciting matchups and going out there performing and giving you guys, the fans, and everybody what they deserve, bro, which is pure action.
Yeah.
That's what I want. But boxing, MMA, there's bare knuckle. They're calling too. It's brutal, but it's out there, bro. It's I ain't doing no slap stuff.
No power slap.
But yeah, there's definitely offers out there. It's opportunity.
Would you do bare knuckle?
Oh yeah.
Really?
If the money's right, yeah, for sure.
If the money's
right, and there's a matchup out there for sure. You could definitely see me in bare knuckle. I like it too because I've done bare knuckle before. I fought on the streets. I know what it takes, and being first, being fast, and putting my hands have never broke. I trust these things. Just like in boxing, but boxing's different. Boxing's a different game. I fallen in love with the process that I've been going into boxing. It's great. Bare knuckle, it's wild, it's crazy. And MMA, I love it. I've been back in the gym, wrestling, doing my thing. I really didn't realize how much I miss wrestling and truly love wrestling and the grappling aspect. And like we were talking earlier, I was starving that part of myself doing the boxing. That feels good being back in the gym and wrestling.
Yeah.
So
Brings
I
back that
just
hunger.
stay ready.
Yeah, brings back that hunger.
Yeah, it does, man. And you know what? I tell you what, I was just happy to be there. We went through a hard wrestling practice, and everybody I could see on their face, and I'm just like that dog chasing cars, all happy just to be there. I wasn't giving up any takedowns. I was pushing, and it was great. I was like, man, I haven't done it in a while, but man, it feels good to be back doing what I'm loving to do.
Did you ever feel a little rusty?
No, it's pure. And I mean, we go to 7-Eleven and go undefeated until we just decide to quit. You just have it. It's like riding a bike after a while. And maybe that's too why I guess maybe you don't see me going out getting into fights out here or anything. Everything just runs smooth. When you're skilled and you just enjoy life. You're not really walking around just angry and pissed off and brushing your teeth with bad intentions every day.
Yeah.
I think I like it as more of the competing aspect. That's what kind of highlights it.
Which one's favorite, boxing or mixed martial arts?
I say mixed martial arts. Reason being is I've learned a lot, and I've developed in a way where I have a lot of knockouts, different styles, not just right hand, not just left hook or whatever. I have a right hand knockout, elbow, head kick, flying knee, spinning back fist. I love that part of mixed martial arts. It just unlocks all the tools and has the truest, purest form of fighting. Because after that, it's literally hand to hand combat and war.
Yeah.
So I think that is the purest. I mean, I'm basically just fighting in my underwear, another grown man, and we're going at it. And it's on the line. And the guys that I've fought and competed with, it's all top 10. It's all the killers of the kills. I mean, back in the day, it was pretty much like America. They said all the best fighters in the world. But now we're in a time, bro, literally everybody, Beijing, China, Australia, we are fighting the elite of who's who in the world. You think about that, and here we are in our chones just getting after it, twisting hooks. And I would say that's probably the best and most exciting is mixed martial arts because it just gives you those varieties.
Yeah. We'll see what the future holds for you. But Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on the show. You just spelt burning your life. Again, thank you for just sharing your story. You're such an inspiration to us and to thousands of people out there. So we appreciate you coming on. But tell the audience where they can find you, your social medias, websites, whatever.
Lil Heathen MMA. Lil Heathen MMA. Check it out. I'm on Facebook, Jeremy Stevens, Lil Heathen MMA. Thank you guys for giving me the platform to come out here. Having your mom here, just me telling the story and all these guys. This is a great experience. I was happy.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming. You heard the man. Go give him some love. And as a gift for coming on the podcast, Jeremy, you will be receiving the Black Label Edition Burn Factory hoodie where only guests get these. So no one else but guests.
Yeah.
All right,
So
I'm gonna be in the gym and I'm gonna wear this every day until you come.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll get you some t-shirts too that you can work out in too.
Cool.
Yeah,
I love
we
that,
got a
man.
whole bunch
Appreciate
of
it.
colors. But
Thank you guys.
That's gonna do it from this episode of the Burn Factory podcast. Like always, like, comment, and subscribe at the Burn Factory podcast.
And also be sure to visit my foundation as well, the priestjamesfoundation.org. Again, the priestjamesfoundation.org to understand why this is called the Burn Factory.
And we'll see you guys for the next episode. Peace.
3, 2.
All right, guys, we're here with Jeremy Stevens, who just spelled burn in his life, and he is now the Burn Factory podcast
Nice, dude.
champion.
That's right, baby.
And new.
Hope you guys enjoy that one.
No, thank you,
you.
Jeremy, for coming on. You're such an inspiration to us and to so many people out there. And we'll take you up on that training session.
Nice, let's do it, bro.
Let's do
I
it.
appreciate it,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you for coming.
Thank you.